All right. Hello, all you beautiful, wonderful, amazing, spectacular tea people. I hope you are having an amazing, spectacular, wonderful day today. Well, the bees are going wild. This is like a bee day. And so the bees are running around doing stuff. So you might see the bees. You might also see their predators. These guys are not as bad as the giant Asian hornets, but they're their cousins. So there's like a cousin of them. So what are we doing today? This is an expert brewing deep dive into this tea right here, which is a fascinating tea. This is the bird planted red. So we're going to go into a deep dive into that. I'm just going to post in the Discord here. And we're going to talk. What are we going to talk about today? I'm going to do this deep dive into this beautiful tea. What we're also going to do is we're going to talk about the start of the planning for the we're going to talk about the start of the planning for the tea trip. Now, I have flirted with tea tripping for many years, and that's not quite fair. I actually have done tea trips in the past, hundreds of them. So I have been doing tea trips many times. So I'm using StreamYard on the YouTube. So on the YouTube, I'm going to be able to go in and sort of talk about some of these things on the YouTube. And I think that should work. I've been using StreamYard for a couple of years now. But I thought, you know what? I've got so much free time on my hands right now because of the sanctions against the American consumer that I'm like, you know what I'll do? I'll just do some stuff that I haven't done for a while. I'm feeling very motivated this week. I've got a lot done. Trip, blog, and most importantly, expert brewing. Why don't we get started with the expert brewing? Now, there was a question that came in from the Discord, an amazing, beautiful, amazing, spectacular question from an amazing, beautiful, spectacular person who is a tea person who I'm always thankful for having interacted with the people that I get to interact with on here. It's so wonderful all the time. But they asked a very, serious question. You can tell they were sort of troubling. It was troubling them. This tea right here. Now, what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to brew this really strong. I'm just going to add hot water to it, and we're just going to brew it, and we're going to go back to it in about depends, a couple minutes from now. Then we're going to go back to this tea right here, and we're going to sort of drink it. Now, what is the story behind this tea? On the site, this is an expert level brewing tea. This is not for beginners. If you are a beginner, you probably should not be drinking this tea. Now, if you're a beginner to Taiwanese tea, again, this is probably not a tea for you. If you are a beginner to Taiwanese teas, but you are an expert in Chinese teas, in the various types of post-fermented teas, you might want to give this a try. It's a pretty interesting one. It's a pretty interesting tea. But what the story is there is, up on Shanlinshi, in the mountains around the tea gardens, there are old tea trees. And these old tea trees are... you can see right here, this is got just off the boiled water. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do a quick little wash, just like this. And look at that. That was about 5-6 seconds. And look at the color of this tea. So that's what you're looking at when you're looking at this tea. It is an intense tea. And I can definitely understand why people would not. It's not that they're brewing it the wrong way. It's that when they're brewing it, because there's so many flavors coming out on this tea, it's just insane how many flavors come out on this tea. You're not going to be able to trust yourself to know, did I do it right? Did I do it right? And very important, remember this, always, there is no right and wrong when it comes to brewing teas like this and like all the teas we have on the site, as long as you're doing it with respect, right? As long as you're doing it with respect. If you're giving it attention, don't worry about it. Don't worry about like doing the wrong thing. I want to drink some. I quite enjoy this tea. So I'm trying to jump into that. I mean, that's basically it, is what I just said is just basically it. That's everything that you need to know. We're done. Doesn't really matter. There's no right and wrong. So this tea, I don't drink all that often. And it is, if you don't know what you're looking for, I should probably go and change some of the description. Because since I bought this tea and brought it into the site, which is a couple of years ago, to now, the flavor of this tea has changed. This tea also changes, and we're going to go woo-woo a little bit, but this tea also changes through seasons. So the flavor right now, the up front, is a touch of the red fruit that was dominant about 18 months ago, 2 years ago. There is a beautiful sweetness in the mid-mouth. It's very, very wide. There's also like a touch of a bitterness or astringency, perhaps. And then the aftertaste is syrup. There is no other word for it. It is sweet sap syrup. It is a syrupy, sort of fruity, fascinating tea. And I think I can see what the problem might be. Because in the description, I said that the red fruit was more dominant. And now I can see, especially this time of year, we'll get into that in a minute, this time of year, the dominant flavor of that red fruit is there, but it's not as strong as it was before. In fact, it's a little bit flat. And what the flavor is now is much, much, much more like a mid-aged pour. Much, much, much more like a mid-aged pour. So here we go. So this has been about, I don't know, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that. Now check that out. And again, I got this question from a very nice person, very well-meaning person, asking, how the heck do I brew this tea? And the quick answer that I gave to start sort of the conversation about it was, when you're looking at this tea, you brew it really short, flash steeps, almost like a pour, to bring out some of the flavors, the red fruit and some of those fruity flavors and things like that. Or you can brew it sort of stronger if you want the cha chi. Now take a look at that. Now you can remember from before, there was that first steep, how red it was. But check out that color. It is so different. I wish I had taken some back. But this is just sort of brewing it like that for a couple, a minute or so. Or no, more than that. What are we at now? 8 minutes. So that was probably brewing it for about 5 minutes, which is way, way too long. But you can see the steep here. Now, this tea, okay, so the story again behind this tea, if you don't know, this is the bird-planted red. Up in the mountains around Shanlinshi, there's forest all around. There's bamboo forests, and there's all sorts of different things going on. And oftentimes, seeds from the tea plants will make their way into the forest. They'll get planted, and then they'll grow up. And as we all know, because we're all tea nerds at this point, any seed planted from any tea plant will be a crapshoot. We'll be rolling the genetic dice to see what type of tea you actually get. And because of that, what you're getting is something just beautiful. You don't know what it is. And they went into the forests and they found some of these teas that were planted by, they call them bird planted in Chinese. It's like the idiom, a bird planted tea. And this particular family is a family they wish that they could do more. Anyways, I won't get into that. Maybe I'll save it for the book. Wow, so thick. And so what they did is they went into the forest, they found these old growth trees, and for a couple of years, they actually went and they picked these teas, and then they made a beautiful black tea out of them. And the black tea that they made out of it was somewhere in between the processing style of both a Taiwanese black tea, a Taiwanese oolong, and then sort of like a Chinese tea. This has spent a lot of time in the sun, right? And as I brew these teas, you'll be able to see that. Spend a lot of time in the sun. And Because of that, you get this real uniqueness to it. It's not a cultivar, right? It's not a cultivar that we know. It's planted by birds. That is such a flavor blast. So this one, when you drink it like this, ooh, I might get tea drunk with this one today, guys, but that's okay. It's Friday. It is tart fruit. The mid-mouth has just a touch of sort of a bitterness, astringency note, which oftentimes these aged teas, before they get into their real agedness, will have. It's actually quite a narrow mid-mouth, but kind of fun. Anyways, it's a strong mid-mouth, very clear, a little bit sweet. And then the aftertaste is, again, that syrup that we're talking about with the first steep of this one. And drinking it like this is like drinking a shot of or a breath of whatever intoxicant you want. Like, I'm feeling it. It's really, really, really strong. It's really, really, really strong. And that's awesome. It's so amazing. You know, the idea of tea drunk or whatever it is, there's so many different ways of talking about it, so many different ways of attacking the problem. It's very ethereal, but it's repeatable, right? And so the chi of this tea, so I wouldn't call this tea drunk, I'd call this more the chi of this tea, is extremely, extremely strong. And I'm going to pour this out. I'm going to save this for later. Maybe we can drink this after we go through the steeps of this. Because if I drink all this right now, it's going to hit me like a ton of bricks. And it's going to be, I won't be able to do too much with this tea afterwards. Now, another thing with this tea and why I bought it, the family up there are really nice. I like them. You know, they're a partner farm. I buy tea from them. But they're also Buddhist. And what they do with this tea is they actually play, I don't want to go all woo-woo. I hate the woo-woo in the sense of selling tea. If we're in person, I can tell you all about the woo-woo. We can go deep into the woo-woo. We can talk about all these various things about consciousness and attention and tea. But I don't like to do it here just because this is almost by definition sort of an economic space. But they do sort of do it in a meaningful way, in a thoughtful way. They do play sort of Buddhist music and things like that as they were making this tea. And again, I don't think they make it anymore, unfortunately. Don't think they make it anymore, unfortunately. But you know, hopefully we'll have our brick and mortar store soon. So, and there's also the tea trip coming up. So you want to talk about the woo-woo? We can sit and drink tea and talk about that type of stuff. But I hesitate to do it sort of in a public space. Spirituality and that type of stuff, in my opinion, should be a private thing. Anyways, here's the second steep. You can see I'm brewing it very, very, very lightly. Now, I keep thinking back to this question. I keep thinking back to this person. Again, very, very nice person. And I keep thinking, you know, and anybody else who is looking for, who has a tea like this or is just getting into tea. Again, people who are, there's a expert, there's a 10 a.m. That's when they usually start coming in. F16s. If you are meditating, drinking this tea, it will help you a lot. If you're working, drinking this tea, I know it might not help that much. Depends on your work. But if you're sitting around having a conversation with people drinking this tea, you're really going to enjoy this tea. But it's a little bit of it's an esoteric tea, especially compared with all the other teas that are on the site. When you're drinking this tea, the flavor is aged pu'er mixed with wow, so different than the first steep. This is aged pu'er mixed with Taiwanese teas. And I'll tell you straight up, this second steep is not that pleasant. It's just not that pleasant. It is tart in the upfront. The bitter note is really wide and strong in the mid-mouth. And then the second steep, the syrup is sort of gone. It's a little bit dry. And when you're looking at these types of teas, you're looking at teas that are older, when you're looking at teas that are like this, you're probably going to be thinking, holy crap, what did I do wrong? I just ruined it. I just made the tea bad. Stop. Don't think that, right? Don't think that, because I can tell you 100%, the next steep is going to be different. The syrup is going to come, well, maybe not 100%. I haven't had this steep for a while, but I'm pretty confident that with the next steep, that dryiness is going to go away. That syrupy nature is going to come back. And it's going to be much sweeter as you go through the steeps. I can already feel it in the background of the second steep. Now, why would that happen with this? I don't know. I don't know why it's happening with this. I could come up with a bunch of different reasons why. I could do all of that. I don't know. I don't know why the second steep is not as pleasant as the first steep. And my guess is not quite as pleasant as the third steep either. This is an old tea. And when you're going through this tea, part of it is dealing with that aspect. But I'll tell you, that syrupy stuff is really, really nice. It's nice, that the syrup in the background. Yeah, I'm going to change the description on the site. Now, like I said before, the person who was asking me about this and saying, how do you brew it? Please tell me the exact way to brew it. It totally changes with your water temperature. It totally changes with the nature of your water. Like I'm using basically RO water right now. So if I was using sort of a more mineralized water, I'd be able to get a little bit more of the fruit, and I'd be able to get a little bit more of the sweet coming off of this. But if you are brewing this tea in just the way that I'm brewing it right now, you're looking at 10 to 15 seconds, you're looking at off the boil water, you're going to be able to have basically the same experiences that I'm having right now, sort of drinking the tea. And when I was saying about actually, why don't I, let's pop it up here. So the expert brewing, right? So on the YouTube, I've just popped it up. The expert brewing are teas that basically, now, how to go into this? There are some teas that you can ruin. I don't think this is one of them. When I say ruin, I mean really, really, really not enjoy. So for example, if you take an Assamica tea, a Ruby 18 or an Assamica, or a number 21, I guess, as well, and you take one of those teas and you really brew the heck out of it, you're going to have a bad time. It's going to hurt your stomach. It's going to hurt your body. You're just going to have sort of a bad time. It's not going to be very pleasant. With something like this, even if you brew it like I brewed it here, like really, really strongly, it's still palatable. It's still okay. So this is the third steep, and it's so different. So the tartness is basically gone. In the mid-mouth, that sort of that bitternessness is completely attenuated. It's gone, right? Or it's much less. And the syrupy nature of the back end is starting to come out much, much stronger. And it's got this really wide feeling. But the expert brewing teas, the ones I put as expert brewing, they are, they're sort of vibe brewing teas. Like we talked about that the other day. It's funny. I do this sometimes with the teas. The last live stream I did, teas that I knew were not as clean as the other teas that I have, or I suspected, but now I know. And I left the teas out, and I had a bunch of different teas. I left them out. And if you leave them out overnight, especially in an environment like this, they'll grow stuff on the top. Now, I'm not doing this inside. Obviously, it's on my back porch, right? But I do that on purpose sometimes just to see what's going to happen. Right? It's sort of like a petri dish, right? Just like a petri dish. And the two teas, those Dongting oolongs, were, I mean, I feel like I should put them on my head, because there'd be so much hair that would pop up the next day. You know, like they were just covered. They were just covered. Whereas the other teas, they didn't have that same explosion. There might have been one or two little dots of something like that, but those teas were just insane. See, I'm getting tea drunk. What was my point? I don't remember the point of telling that story, but there was a point. I promise you there was a point. But right now I'm getting tea drunk with this, right? So on the Discord, when this person asked this wonderful question, I actually said, you know, like, there's the taste and then there's the body feel, right? There's the taste and then there's the tea drunk. And if you want just the tea drunk, then just brew it strong. Just like do shots with it. You know, basically this is like shots, right? This is extremely strong tea. You drink this tea, it's just like shots. And so if you brew it like this, you're going to get more of the flavors. You're going to get more of the things going through the tea, but you're not going to get quite as tea drunk as fast. Now it takes about 3 steeps. So here we are in the third steep. And I mentioned before, right, that when I first drank this one, I'm like, I can't drink this right now. I'm going to get too drunk. I wouldn't be able to finish the live stream. And I am sort of feeling that right now. Like, I'm like, crap. I was going to talk about other stuff. Now I'm getting kind of tea drunk. I'm going to giggle a bit. You know, I'm going to be like, you know, and that's basically why you're buying the older teas. That's what it boils down to, right? So if you're buying a high quality, clean, older tea, right? Now this is from the forest, right? This is got no agrochemicals on it at all. It's literally from the forest. Now it's not certified. It's not been tested because it's boutique, as they say. It's made in very, very small batches. I mean, I think I bought like 6 kilograms of it. I think I bought like 2 years or 3 years of it. It's made in very, 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 very small amounts, but it's meant to be had in this context of enjoying the body feel. Now, if you're focusing on the flavor, you probably shouldn't be getting these types of teas. If you're focusing on the body feel, then this is a great tea, right? Actually, somebody wrote me an email the other day, or messaged me, and they said, you know, I'm looking for something with good qi. And I said, describe the qi. And they described it, and they did an amazing job. It was like uplifting, energetic, making me feel like everything will be okay. Damn, that is a good description of a good cha chi with a tea, right? This has that. And this has that a lot more than I had remembered in the past, because usually when I'm drinking these teas, I'll buy them and I'll drink them, and then I'll stick them on the shelf, and then people will buy them and I'll take them out. And, you know, I have hundreds and hundreds of teas in the shop, like just over here. And so I don't really go back to be drinking these teas often. And so something like this, which is a really powerful tea that I bought, I don't know, a couple of years ago, it's slowly selling. There's fans. But I don't drink it very often, you know, and I'm realizing now that the last 2 years, what this has done is it's taken away the last little bit of the red fruit black tea-ness. There's still a hint of it there, but it's basically gone. It's brought in a sort of, in the aftertaste, a silky smooth, syrupy sweet. But the mid-mouth is still, there's some edges. There's some edges in the mid-mouth, which even before I don't remember there being. So what are we at? The third steep or the fourth steep now? The flavor is sort of mellowed out. The mid-mouth is still, it's got an edge to it. but you're getting into that syrupiness in the background. And yeah, I'll have to write that guy back and be like, hey, listen, you know, the bird planted red kind of got what you want. Now, let this be a lesson to everybody out there. When you're looking at black teas, unfortunately, you've got an awkward phase with the aging. And the awkward phase with the aging depends on the tea. Usually it starts around 5 years. And then for maybe 5 to 15 years, you've got sort of this awkward phase where the black tea is the age. It doesn't really age all that well. And then you get older, you get further in, and then it gets okay. But black tea sort of doesn't age as well as the oolongs. Obviously, it doesn't age as well as the pu'ers and those types of teas. And I'm realizing now this one, it sort of hit that awkward phase where it goes from aged teas to not quite so aged teas, or not quite so aged teas to like deeply aged teas. And now you're drinking this tea for the body feel. so you're drinking this tea for sort of the tea drunk. It's basically what's going on with this tea right now. And you know, it's not quite at the 1970s level, but this would get to the 1970s aged 1970s oolong. It's not quite at that level, but this will get to that level and beyond it over the next 5-10 years. Now, this is one of those teas I got on the shelf. You know, I don't talk about it much. I should put I'm going to change the description of the tea as soon as I get off the live stream, because I've done a deep dive into it. And it's a tea now that you don't really drink for the sort of the red fruit, for that old growth tree black tea type stuff. You're drinking this tea because it gets you drunk. And it's the good kind of tea drunk, right? It's not the kind of tea drunk where you're just fidgety and you're like, you know, because of chemicals. This is like, you know, like that person was describing it, right? Like that person was describing it. When that person asked and they said, do you have a tea like that? I was like, oh man, not right now, not really, you know, because the 1970s oolong is not really like that. It's more like a hammer. It just knocks you out cold. But this one is much more like what he was talking about, sort of energetic, uplifting, making you feel like everything's going to be okay, right? Sort of a thing. And this definitely has it. Now, it's not particularly strong in the sense of, well, actually, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. If I drink this, I don't know whether I'll be able to finish the live stream, but we can experiment, can't we? Now, I also have a towel for cleanliness, just for clean teas. Can you drink this thing on an empty stomach? I can, yes. Like I have an empty stomach right now, and it's great. What I usually do in the morning, I wake up, drink a bunch of water, have a cup of coffee, and then I might chew on some ginseng. So I might chew on some ginseng root, and then I drink some tea, and then I have something for lunch. And what that means is, if I really want to know what a tea is like, then drinking a tea on an empty stomach is pretty good, right? It's pretty good. And right now I'm drinking this tea on an empty stomach, and it's fine. It's totally okay. And how's everything on the YouTube? I'm using the StreamYard. Is the sound okay and everything doing okay with the YouTube? I'm thinking about I might pay for StreamYard again. I don't know. I might. I like sharing the screen. I like sharing the screen sometimes, and the StreamYard does a really good job with that. So I might pay for StreamYard again. Maybe, I don't know. Theoretically, perhaps, maybe. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's get to over here. So what's this? This is the 5th or the 6th steep, fifth, I think. A lot of the flavor has gone. It's still there. You get the syrup in the background. But to recap, first steep is awesome, really beautiful. Do a fast steep on that. Second steep, tart, bitterness in the mid-mouth. It's not that pleasant. By the third steep, all that is muted, flows out smoothly. And then as you go through the steeps after that, it gets quite nice. And let's do this. And then you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about, this has been going for, I guess, about 20 minutes. Let's see how thick this one is. Whoa. Like motor oil. Wow. So check this out. This has been just sitting in hot water for like 20 minutes. Look at the color on that. Just gorgeous. So you can see, right, there is a lot of stuff going on in this tea. Right? There's a lot of stuff in it. Absolutely a lot of stuff. Anyways, but I'm going to change the description. What's going on? I have started here. I'll go on to the YouTube here and I will share my screen. So let's go over to that window. Now, where would that window be? Is it this one? Nope. Nope, not that one. Whoa, I can't, where is it? Here? No, not that one. Well, I guess I am pretty drunk here. Oh, here it is. They opened up another tab for me. Okay, so here it is. That's annoying. I'm just gonna pop this one out here so I can see both here. Okay, so okay, so good. Hey, that works out. So there's that working now. If you go to the website, you go down here to our blog. Everybody, you should go and check out the blog because right now I'm working. You can see here, I'm putting stuff on the blog, and I'm going to be trying to put stuff out at least 2, 3, 4 times a week because I'm trying to get practice writing. So I got to get practice writing. I'm writing this book, and I've started writing the book, but I'm realizing that it's not like, oh, I'm just going to go write a book. No, I gotta get on it. I gotta practice writing. I gotta have my writing smooth. And how you do that is you just write every day. And so what I'm going to try and do is do some sort of bloggy type thing every day. And there's going to be some really good information in there. And so I'll put more information about that as I put on there. But if you go onto the YouTube and you take a look, if you're on the Instagram, you can jump over to the YouTube right now, or you can just go to the website and check out the time for a mountain stream tea trip, October the 16th, 2025. So there's some BS in there, and then I talk about what the trip would be. I'm looking at probably a 7-day trip, a 7-day, 6-night sort of style trip. The costs would be probably around $3,000 US, and it would be everything included. So you show up to the shop. We start the trip at the shop in Hualien, which I will have hopefully set up by then. And then we go sort of north and around, down, up into the mountains, and sort of end at my buddy's place in Taichung. And it would be, I think, quite a lot of fun. It'd be quite a lot of fun to be able to go and do these things. Now, I've seen a lot of the tea tours. I've participated in some of the tea tours that have come through Taiwan, and I'll tell you this. What's the best way to describe it? I have a unique skill set. I ran an adventure company, a tripping company, for 10 years. And so I know how to do all of that stuff. And so to be able to do a tea trip would actually be a lot easier than going hiking. And so, or river tracing for that matter. And I'd have to, my backpack would be much lighter to do that. And so I think that creating sort of this style of trip would be really, really, really quite a lot of fun. And so I'm going to be doing this, but I need, so that is the first draft of the plan. If you're interested in a spring harvest trip, what do you think? Any questions or comments? Let me know. So if you're interested in something like this, let me know, and we'll try and build something out. So you can see this is the motor oil version of this tea, and the motor oil version of this tea is going to get me hammered, tea drunk, hammered. You can see the color of it there, and the flavors of it are strong. And if you brew it this way, you're not really brewing it for the flavor. You're brewing it because it's going to kind of get you a little high. But that's all I'm going to say about it. Up front, tartness, sourness, the touch of age on the fruit, old dusty fruit. Mid-mouth, kind of wide, lots going on in the mid-mouth. And then in the background and in the back end, smooth, sweet syrupiness all through the back end. But this does not compare to any of the other black teas we have on the site. Not at all. And again, I would say you're not really drinking this tea for the taste, other than it's interesting. You're not going to fall in love with the taste. But if you like that type of body feel, if you like that sort of, it's quite a nice body feel actually. But I drink it and I can feel how stiff my body is, unfortunately, because sorry, there's a bee on my toe. I've been doing the rowing machine every day, and I'm realizing now it makes my shoulders stiff. Anyways, I think I covered what I wanted to cover. On my list today was to do some sort of content, and I have done some sort of content. I've done a live stream. I'm also no, don't sting me. Did it fly away? Sorry, it was a bee landed in my shirt. Oh no. Anyways, bee landed in my shirt there. I think it's gone now. I hope so. Anyways, didn't sting me this time. The bees are very, very active today. But I guess I'm tea drunk enough to be doing a live stream where I'm just doing stream of consciousness. There's no filter there. So I guess if you have any questions about anything, let me know. You get a very honest answer. you get a very honest answer. Because I've had too much of this very strong tea. So now I'm a little bit tea drunk. But I covered what I wanted to cover today. So the answer to that very good question about how to brew this tea is the really, really wonderful flavors are kind of dissipated from it now, and you're drinking it more for the body feel. You're drinking it more for the thickness of the stuff that's in there. You're not really drinking it for the the flavor. The flavor a couple years ago was more pleasant than it is now. But if you drink it and you drink a lot of it, you're going to get a little lightheaded. Let's put it that way. It's starting to get there really, really well. And this is just going to get more powerful as time goes on. But, I wish it had kept a little bit more of those red fruit flavors for a couple more years. But that's okay. because everybody needs a break every once in a while, right? Everybody needs, just relax, have a cup, chill out, just drink some tea and enjoy yourself for a while. Anyways, I think that's it for now. If you're interested in the tea trip, then throw it out there or get in touch. I'm setting up sort of basically an email list, and that's the link in the bio as well, actually. And yeah, wherever you are in the world, I certainly hope you have an amazing morning, night, evening, and all of that. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next live stream.